This is lesson 3.6, and it's applying rational number operations, okay? This is basically, we're going to have multiple operations in the same problem, and it's also word problems, okay? So let's just take a look at something called assessing reasonableness of the answer. So when you get the answer, you look at it and think, does that make sense for the problem? That's what it means to assess reasonableness. Is it a reasonable answer? Does it make sense? Right, here we go. This says a show on TV is 30 minutes long. Inside the 30 minutes, there are 3 commercial breaks that are each 2.5 minutes long. And there are 4 sections of the show that are all the same amount of time between the commercials. How long is each section of the show? Okay, so what exactly does that mean? Basically, we've got a 30-minute show. You watch a little bit of the show, then there's a commercial break. Watch a little bit of a show, and then there's a second commercial break. Watch a little bit of the show, then there's a third commercial break, and then you watch a little bit more of the show. So there's 4 sections of watching the show, and there's 3 commercial breaks, okay? So here's what we know. We know that the commercial break take 2.5 minutes, okay? 2.5 minutes for the commercial breaks, and there are 3 of them. So we take 2.5 minutes and we multiply that times 3 to get the total number of commercials, all right? 2.5 times 3 for the total number of commercial time. So we're going to do that multiplication. I'm going to convert this to an improper fraction. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So this is actually 5 halves times 3. And to multiply the 3, we're going to give it a denominator of 1. And that is 5 times 3 is 15. 2 times 1 is 2. That is an improper fraction. 2 can go into 15 7 times, because 7 times 2 is 14, which means we have 1 left over with 7.5. So basically, we have 7.5 minutes of commercials. Okay, 7.5 minutes of commercials. So I'm going to write that, 7.5 minutes. And that is the commercial, okay? 7.5 minutes. Well, the total amount of the show is 30 minutes. That's with the commercials. So I can find out the total amount of show minus the commercials first. So total show is 30 minutes minus the 7.5 minutes of commercials. Okay, 30 minutes total with the show and the commercials. You take away the 7.5 minutes of commercials, that's going to give you the total amount that's just show and no commercials. Okay, so let's do that. We can do 30 over 1 minus, and this is 14 times 14 plus 1 is 15. 15 halves, right? We need common denominators here. Common denominator is going to be 2. Okay, we're going to multiply this times 2 and multiply this times 2 so that we can get common denominators. So our new fraction is going to be 60 over 2 minus 15 over 2, right? So we just take common denominators. Well, that's going to give us 60 minus 15 is going to give us 45 over 2, right? 45 over 2. I'm going to leave that as an improper fraction for now, because that right there, that is the minutes that are show only. So this is 45 over 2 is minutes of show. Okay, the 7.5 was minutes of commercial, right? So what we did was we figured out the number of minutes of commercial. We subtracted the minutes of commercial from the 30 minutes of total show. And we figured out that 45 divided by 2, that is our minutes of show. Show only, no commercials. Because what we're trying to do is figure out how many minutes is each section of the show, and there are 4 sections, right? How many minutes are each section of the show, and there are 4 sections. So I'm going to take the total minutes of the show only, and divide by 4. That's why I kept it as an improper fraction. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 45 over 2. That's the minutes of show, total minutes of show, and divide that by 4. Well, again, to divide fractions, I need a denominator. And remember, I'm going to keep, change, flip. So I'm going to keep the 45 over 2. I'm going to change multiplication, and I'm going to flip. Right? Now, I don't see anything I can cross cancel, really. So 45 times 1 is 45. 2 times 4 is 8. Now I can convert that to a mixed number. 8 goes into 45 5 times. 8 times 5 is 40. I'm going to have 5 over. And 8 is a denominator. So each section of the show is 5 and 5/8 minutes. Okay? So each section of the show is 5 and 5/8 minutes. And that's for each section of the show. The section is the part that's in between the commercial. Now, the question is that reasonable? Well, let's figure this out. Basically, it's about 5 minutes, and there are 4 of them. They told us that there are 4 sections. So 5 times 4 is 20. And then there are 7 minutes of commercials. So that's 27. That makes sense because there's roughly 30 minutes of show, and I rounded, right? I didn't use these fractions. So, but I got to 27, so that's reasonable. All right, let's do one more problem. All right, this says, Carmela, notice I use my dog's name and you can hear her bark. Maybe you can, I don't know. Carmela uses 1 1/4 cups of flour for a batch of muffins. She has a 5-pound bag of flour, and that bag costs $4.49. A serving of flour is 1/4 cup. The bag has 76 servings. How many batches of muffins can Carmela make if she uses all the flour in the bag? And how much does the flour cost for 1 batch? Okay, that is kind of a complicated problem, actually. So let's figure out what information we have here. Okay, let's do that first. Let's figure out the information that we have. All right. We know that a batch of muffins needs 1 1/4 cups. Okay, C stands for cups. Now, we also know that she has a 5-pound bag of flour. Okay, so the bag of flour is 5 pounds. So I think I'll write that. Let's see, I want to make this organized. I think I'll put it, this is that 1 batch needs 1 1/4 cups of flour, and she has, I'm going to make a little picture. Here's a bag of flour. Okay, this is flour. It's 5 pounds. And it's got 76 1/4 cup servings. So 76 times 1/4 cups are inside that 5-pound bag of flour. Okay. The truth is, we don't really need to know how much the flour weighs. That's not really useful information. So the next question is, how many cups is 76 times 1/4? Okay, how many cups total are in this bag of flour? There's 1/4 times 76. That's how many cups are in the bag. So let's do that first. So we have 76 times 1/4. Okay. Can I cross cancel that? 4 can go into 7 once with 3 left over. We can actually. We can cross cancel that. All right, let's cross cancel that. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 4 goes into 76. It goes into 7 one time with 3 left over. It goes into 36 9 times, right? So that's 19. All right. So 19 times 1 is 19, and then 1 times 1 is 1. So 19 cups. There are 19 cups of flour in this bag, okay? And we need 1 1/4 of a cup for each batch. So the question is, how many batches can we make with this bag? All right, so we're going to divide 19 divided by 1 1/4. Basically, how many 1 1/4 cups fits into 19 cups? Okay, so we're going to divide 19 divided by 1 1/4. Okay, we're going to do that next. All right, let's do $19 divided by 1 1/4, but let's change this to an improper. 4 times 1 is 4, so that's 4 5/4, right? Okay, so now we're going to keep change flip, right? We're going to keep change flip. So keep the 19, change to multiplication, and flip to 4/5, right? That makes sense? Now we're going to multiply. This is going to be 5. 4 times 9 is 36. I think that's going to give us 76, right? 4 times 1 is 4. Yep, 76. So now it's 76 divided by 5. Well, what is that? 5 can go into 7 once with 2 left over. So 5 can go into 26 5 times with 1 left over. All right. So what we just figured out. All right. So I'm gonna explain what I just did. Okay. All right. Each batch takes 1 1/4 cup. This bag of flour we figured out has 19 cups in it. We figured that out because the problem told us there were 76 servings and each serving is 1/4 of a cup. If we multiply 1/4 times 76, that tells us how many cups are in the bag. So that's what we did, and we figured out 19 cups. There are 19 cups in the bag. Each batch takes 1 1/4 cup. So how many of these fits in there? We divided 19 divided by 5/4. Well, we got 15 1/5. That means we can make 15 1/5 batches if we use all the flour. Okay, so that is one of our answers, 15 1/5 batches if we use all of the flour. Okay, so how many batches of muffins can we make if we use all the flour? 15 1/5. Okay, now the next question is, how much does the flour cost for one batch? How much does the flour cost for one batch? Okay, well, we know this whole bag costs $4.49. Okay, we also know how much does the flour cost for one batch. So we also know that there are 15 1/5 batches in this bag. So what we can do is we can set up what's called a ratio. Okay, we have a whole unit coming up on ratios and proportions, but we're going to set that up right now. So basically, here's what we have. It costs us, we have $4.49. We're going to divide that by this 15 1/5. Okay, Now that seems a little crazy because that's a decimal divided by a fraction. How do we do that? This is how you do it, okay? We're going to convert this fraction to a decimal, all right? And here's how we do that. I can make that fraction into a decimal by changing it to tenths. So whoops, if I multiply it times 2, I will get a tenth here. Multiply this times 2 and I get 2. So this is actually 15 2/10. All right. So here's what I've got. Now I've got $4.49 divided by 15.2. And now I go into my dividing decimals. So it's $4.49, that's a 4, divided by 15.2, okay, divided by 15.2. I'm going to move that decimal over and move that decimal over and bring it right up here. So the question is, how many times can 152 fit into 449? How many times does 152 fit into 449? Well, let's kind of estimate. 150 times 2 is 300. 150 times 3 is 450. So really, it's got to be 2 now, right? So it's going to be 2 here. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay, now we're going to subtract 9 minus 4 is 5. 4 minus 0 is 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. So now we have to put a 0 here and bring down a 0. Now, okay, I'm not writing very well. This is a 0, this is a 5. Now, how many times does 152 fit into 1,450? Well, here's the thing. Since this was so close, I think it's going to be 9s. I think, I'm not sure. Let's try 9. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 5 is 45, 46. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 4 is 13. So we have to borrow, that's going to be 2. 4 minus 6, we have to borrow again, 14. So 14 minus 6 is going to be what? 14 minus 6. Take away 4, that's 10. Take away another 2, that's 8. And this is now, so it's 82. So we're going to bring down one more 0, because so far we've got 29 cents, right? That's 29 cents. But I want to make sure, I'm going to put one more just to see if I should round that. So 150 into 820. Like we said, 150 times 2 is 300, times 3 is 450, times 4 is going to be 600, times 5 is going to be 750. So I bet it's 5, right? So 750. Oh, I'm running out of room now. 820 minus 750. Let's see. 0 minus 0 is 0. I have no room. 0 minus 0 is 0. Okay, so borrow, that's going to be 5. So 50 left over. I'm going to leave that at that because I am going to round up, because this is 5. So to round, if this was 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, you round this up. If this is 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, you just drop this number and leave the 9. But since it is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, I'm going to round up so it's 30 cents. So the next answer, how much does the flour cost for one batch? It's 30 cents. So there's one answer, and here's the second answer. Basically, 30 cents per batch. Okay, that is quite a complicated problem, okay? When you do this learn and do, you have to really think through what you're trying to do. Each problem is going to be a little bit different. So sometimes it's helpful to draw pictures and really figure out what is this problem asking. And notice I did not need this 5 pounds at all. Didn't matter how much that bag weighed. What mattered is how many cups was in the bag. Okay, 5 pounds was just extra information. All right, that is 3.6. It's basically multi-step word problems, which means word problems that take many different steps to get to the answer. Okay.